The content in this podcast is of heavy and graphic nature. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our first episode of the new podcast, That Spooky Murder Show.
What up? Welcome, guys.
Yeah. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Brittany.
Yep.
I'm Devin's sister, the superior sibling.
Oh, God. Here we go. And that would make me Devin. Yeah, we're basically brother and sister doing this podcast together. What do you think? So far, so good? You know?
Yeah, this is just a warning, y'all. This is probably really rough. The first time. I mean, first episodes for every podcast are, but we're going to try our best, and I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. And as you guys know, I also have my own podcast that I've been doing for a couple months now, so this isn't my first rodeo, but it is Brittany's first time, so...
Avid podcast listener, though, of course.
So, she has experience from that, so...
Yeah, sure.
So, I don't know, what do we got for housekeeping? We are probably going to give a little introduction about ourselves, just giving you a quick intro to who we are.
Yeah, since you'll be with us on this journey, you should know who you're listening to.
Yeah, and plus we like to stay in touch with you fans, so I mean, we definitely want to keep that line open. Firstly, we both have grown up in the life of paranormal, around the paranormal and stuff like that.
Some spooky ass shit.
Spooky stuff, yeah, definitely. Yeah, our parents are actually both paranormal investigators, and...
They would say paranormal investigators current, but let's just say they haven't had an investigation in a couple of years. We're on them to do so.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So we can tag along finally.
Yep, definitely. Yeah. I mean, we were always so young to the point where we weren't able to go on those investigations, stay up all night, you know. So.
We were lucky enough. They did take us to, it wasn't during an investigation, but they did take us to certain locations, show us around and, show us where they caught things. So...
Yeah.
I really haven't felt anything creepy when we went on those with them.
I mean, I had one experience there. That was at JFK Prep when they took us there.
Oh, God, I totally blacked out through that experience out of fear.
Oh, that's a scary place. It was actually featured on a show, Scariest Place on Earth. Mm-hmm. It's an old preparatory school.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was all males, but, there was a lot of creepy shit that happened there.
Let's just say that's definitely going to be a future episode for sure.
Yep. And I actually know someone who knows the current owners, too. And I know
really?
Gabe does, yeah. The current owners, they don't allow people to go in there anymore.
They're really Christian, I think, and they don't really want to believe in that.
We'll just go with religious. No, that was a fun place. And, I had an experience there. We were all actually walking in a group. I was kind of trailing behind you guys a little bit, and up from the mill dorms, you know how it's all dirt floors up there now?
Yeah, the setup of the school is there's multiple buildings, there's the actual school itself, and then there's a building on the same campus that's the dorms, and then there's the church.
Yep, it was creepy. I think the church was the only place they still had open with these new owners.
Yes,
but they're restoring
because I think it's a second-hand shop or a thrift store now.
Yep.
So, I mean, you can still go in there, but don't mention ghosts. They're not fond of that.
No, not at all.
So it's...
Yeah. We could definitely do an episode on that at some point, because I'm sure I could get Gabe to, get some dirt on the place.
Yeah, or bring her and Chris on, our parents. I mean, they did actual investigations there, so it'd be cool to hear their first-hand experiences. I think
their best piece of evidence was Kurt farting. I remember that. I'm kidding. Yeah.
That was his stomach rumbling, but
I think
who knows?
He farted. I might be wrong, so...
Anyway, we digress.
Yeah, so, we'll get more into our personal experiences, but that's just kind of an overview. I'm into everything macabre. I actually fall asleep to this stuff now, so
Me too. It's so comforting. I don't know what it is.
It really is. It just might be because we were raised in the life.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
No, that's it for me. Tell us a little something about you.
Well, I've always, my brother, we've always been interested in the paranormal. Also, I'm really probably more into it than both of us, true crime. Anything true crime. My boyfriend sometimes gets a little creeped out about the amount of knowledge I have, but that just keeps our relationship on its toes, So
that's good.
You better watch out. I'm getting all the knowledge. Love you.
I hope he doesn't listen to this. You're gonna be sleeping on the couch.
Yeah. So again, we're siblings. 4 years apart.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget my own age, so it's hard to keep track of everyone, one of my
That's
families.
what happens when you get old, man.
Yeah, they
I
just
don't know.
blur together. Yeah, so, well, we're not going to be doing a taste test like we do on my podcast. We're actually probably just going to get into the swing of things. This might not even be as long as a podcast, and that's okay. But at the end, we'll kind of say our goodbyes, but we're going to go through our first story, and
Yeah.
it was my choice, and I admit it was kind of a hard topic to research.
And normally we haven't really worked out the structure of this yet.
Yeah.
We kind of were like when we first just started discussing this podcast, we noticed like a lot of these murder shows
Mhm.
or murders also have paranormal
Activity. Yeah.
after the murder. I'm like, that's kind of a cool idea. So once we find maybe crimes or ghost stories that entail murder that are thick enough of an episode, but we both can separate and do the same case.
That's a way to say it. Yeah.
But like, you know what I mean. We'll do that, but otherwise, I think we might like do a true crime story and a paranormal story each episode. But like I said, we're still trying to figure out the structure. But
Yeah.
today we have one awesome story for you guys.
Yep. One story that we both took time to research, so some of the information might overlap, and we apologize for that, but it's a really, really cryptic story. It takes place in the 1700s, and that's actually been
Yes.
going on for the last 300 years. There's still chapters of it today that from what
Yes,
I've read.
yes, and
So,
still like rumors, of course. A lot of ghost shows have been there too, so it's a really interesting topic.
and it takes place across England, stretching even from like Ireland.
Yeah.
The main place that we're covering today is in Dublin.
It's Hellfire
Yeah,
Club.
we're doing the Hellfire Caves.
And-
We'll keep you guys in suspense. We're going to be alternating each episode too. I'll be covering the history and the true crime aspect of it today. Brittany will be covering more of the paranormal, but she did cover some history too, so
Yeah, it's really interesting.
it really is. There's the more and more we dug, the more and more info we found.
Yeah, so we're obviously not going to be able to get to every single thing that happened, and we know that. So please don't DM us that we missed something because we know. But we just try to touch on the most important stuff and give you a general
Yeah, and
view over it.
who knows? We might do another episode on this in the future. So.
Yeah.
But probably not for a while, because this actually was a little bit of a hard one. Let's get right into it. So, like Brittany said, we are doing the Hellfire Club and Caves today. So I'm going to start out with mine. This is going to be more the history and true crime aspect of it. And then Marie's going to do her thing.
The spooky ghosts.
The spooky ghost. And then we'll give our kind of final thoughts at the end, as well as our goodbyes. This is the Hellfire Club. I hope I got my grammar right this time.
Yeah, if we like misspell things or like missay things.
Yeah, because we typed this all out. We did research, but we're not reading word for word. So, all right, here we go. The Hellfire Club. The Hellfire Club was a mysterious club founded by the members of high society in Ireland and around parts of Europe as a whole. They have been around for upwards of 300 years, although the club had one big rule. No one talks about the Hellfire Club. Even with various rumors and speculations surfacing, no one knows exactly what happened in the Hellfire Club and Hellfire Caves.
What stays in Hellfire Club?
What stays in
How it
Hellfire
happens
Club?
in the Hellfire Club.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean. You know how it goes.
What, is this like a Fight Club reference?
Yeah, this is basically like the 1700s version of Fight Club.
And the crazy thing is, too, it's mostly made up of high-class society members. Like, this is people that could be running your city.
Yeah, like I read even Benjamin Franklin was
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah, that's actually...
guests that came up.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry, did I?
Oh, no, you're good.
Get ahead.
Like I said, some of this might be repeated. This is part discussion, part reading. So, alright, so the Hellfire Club itself was founded in 1719, reportedly by Philip, the Duke of Wharton, at the young age of 20, although other branches of the club would be formed. It's said that Wharton formed the club to perform satanic, or, yep, it's supposed to say satanic, but it says satirical. I mean, technically.
Yeah.
To perform satanic religious ceremonies. Oh my god, I am botching this.
You're
Okay.
fine.
I stutter normally, so. Thought to be inspired from the works of Voltaire and the already of being upper class blasphemy. Yep, so that's a continuation of the last sentence, but yeah.
I heard like it was like just like an excuse for them to party.
Yeah.
Which like at 20 years old, that's all you want to do anyway.
And back then, it was actually, I mean, it was thought of blasphemous to be a partier.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I mean, so it was a way for the high society to kind of dip their feet into the pool too. You know?
Yeah.
So, So basically, the satanic rituals were thought to be inspired by the works of Voltaire and the already being of upper class blasphemy. So he basically, it started out as partying and
Became
became,
a little darker.
yes, yeah. So, I mean, some of the stuff is sick. I mean,
Well, this the rumored activities.
hmm but yeah, no, we'll get to that too. So, I mean, you will, but different than future branches of the club, Wharton's allowed women to become full members, and meetings took place on Sundays at locations around the area of London, England.
That's surprising to me that they let women be members.
Yeah, which, especially for the time, was pretty
Yeah.
much unheard of. I mean, women were getting more and more rights across London, but they were still thought of as, like, the classic housewife.
Yeah, and I mean, like, from what activities they're doing down there, I feel like they wouldn't want women
Mhm.
members. I mean, obviously, women are down there participating, but, like,
Mhm.
yeah, that's weird.
Well, and I think, I don't know if I remember what you told me right, but, I mean, a lot of them were actually servants, too, weren't they? Or,
Yeah, I mean, they did have, like, helpers and
okay.
servants.
So I don't know if that's just strictly
That's that, yeah.
women,
And they're
but-
calling them members
Yeah.
that way. Yeah.
I don't know if that's what they're doing, but referencing Jeffrey Ash's The Hellfire Club's A History of Anti-Morality, it's reported that the club members attended meetings dressed as people from the Bible. They even dined on food such as breast of Venus, devil's
Interesting.
line, yeah, Holy Ghost pie.
Ooh, it's Holy Ghost pie.
I don't know, but
It just makes me think of that scene in Casper.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely, and something called Hellfire Punch. So it really was kind of
Ooh,
like party.
Hellfire Punch. That sounds good.
Or spicy.
But it's
It
got a
could be
good
cinnamon.
kick.
Yeah.
Eh.
It probably did
gonna-
have alcohol in
See, I
it.
was gonna say it's gonna get you sloshed.
These are partiers, so they're probably. Wharton's club was subsequently disbanded in 1721, which was just a few years later, when political enemies of Wharton convinced King George the First to prohibit, quote, such impieties. Impieties. I don't know how.
What a party pooper.
Yeah, right. Eh,
Kill a
not like-
vibe. Such a vibe killer.
I mean, this is like 300 years ago. It ain't like the United States nowadays.
Yeah.
Impieties here means, quote, a lack of respect for God. So basically, it means King George declared it sacrilege. That's not even. Oh my gosh.
So they disbanded because they thought it was sacrilege.
He was forced to by King George because it was deemed sacrilege, basically. So.
I think that's kind of how they got their bad reputation. Is that I think the
Well,
religious folk saw what they were doing. They're kind of mocking religion, and they're
Well-
like, "Oh, what they did, they're so evil."
Well, I mean, just think of the locations in the cave, the names. I mean, and it was built like underneath a church,
Yeah.
the Hellfire Caves. So I mean, it almost
You
seemed like
can't
it was
mock-
mocking
Oh,
God.
absolutely.
Like,
You can't get more mocking than that. Let's make this satanic, like,
and you know,
party cult right underneath the church.
yeah, and you know that area of time, they were heavily religious.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like it was punishable by like death or like life in prison if you like spoke out against God.
And I feel like super strict too. Like anything you do could be a sin.
Yeah.
So
Oh, and yeah, they were. I mean, I learned all my history from video games, but no, they were accurate. They were accurate. Okay, so from here, Wharton joined the Freemasons and eventually became the Grand Master of England's Freemason chapter in 1722. Although his party-like lifestyle would eventually catch up with him, and he would go on to die as a poor alcoholic at the young age of 32.
oh shit.
So, yep, just goes to show you, don't be a partier your entire life. Know when to quit. So that information comes from historyofyesterday.com. So now we're going to get on to the actual hell caves, and this part especially is kind of graphic. Obviously, again, listener discretion is advised. So the Hellfire Caves have a rocky history consisting of mechanicals, which is a drunken and chaotic party, orgies, sacrifices, and murder.
Oh, sounds like a Friday night.
Oh, God. We're siblings. You gotta remember that. Oh, oh,
Just erase it from your head. It's fine.
I can't.
Continue,
I gotta
sir.
listen
I'm
to
sorry.
This podcast. Okay. But this occurred later into the 1700s. All this, blasphemy stuff, and it led to the most infamous story to come out of the Hellfire Club. The caves were originally formed and excavated in the mid 1700s, and the club was reformed by what is widely considered the co-founder of it, Sir Francis Dashwood. He dug a quarter mile into the ground, and ironically, it was beneath a church, like I said before. The cave/clubhouse was quite large, and many have lost themselves in the caverns over the years.
That's like my biggest fear. Oh my god.
That's like why I don't want to go to the London catacombs. Like,
Oh,
I
I'm
mean,
claustrophobic and to like not be able to like get out.
mm-hmm. Oh, and plus you're like a rat stuck in a
Yeah.
like literal maze.
Nope.
And
Nope. Thank you.
there was this video on YouTube a while back of a lost video footage of a guy who was running through the catacombs like he was being chased by something.
Yeah.
And he
that
dropped
one.
the camera, and you just see his feet running past.
Yeah, that one's not fun.
And apparently he was never found.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Yeah. Yeah, but it could have been a hoax. You never know. Okay, so the layout is as follows. The caves have a main hall that branches off to the other locations in it. Some rooms such as the Steward's Cave, Franklin's Cave, which was named after Dashwood's friend Benjamin Franklin, and a banquet hall. The path leads to a place called the Inner Chamber. Although to get there, they'd have to cross a stream they named the River Styx. Which we spoke about before, I think is why King George kind of got pissed.
Isn't it like a reference? There's like a Bible reference in that, isn't it?
It's a river in hell, I believe.
Yeah.
So, hence the Hellfire Club.
Duh.
But they also built an almost mocking facade to resemble a Gothic church, and a wall was erected to sell the illusion of a courtyard.
Yeah, it's really cool to look at. Like, if you guys haven't seen pictures of it, you should definitely look it up because it's really pretty.
Mm-hmm. They have shows that actually investigate there too, so you can actually get a pretty good, decent view of it. The Hellfire Club would hold a majority of their meetings inside the inner temple, where they would test their wits amongst themselves, as well as share drunken toasts and bawdy stories. Reports indicate that over the years, criminalistic acts and occult rituals have occurred, although this is all conjecture. The caves opened up to the public in 1951 and quickly became a popular tourist attraction, with everyone wanting to see where everything happened.
Would you go?
I probably would, but I'm still going to criticize people for being so sadistic that they want to see where all this horrible stuff happened, this horrible shit, you know. But I'm being a hypocrite again because I totally would go there. Updated with modern day aesthetics, they were refurbished and updated to ensure the safety of the visiting tourists, which kind of defeats the purpose in a way for me.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. You'd want to preserve it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The new proprietors even went as far as to install a gift shop/cafe in the location.
Are you serious?
Yes. I mean, at least if you're going to do a shop and a cafe, do it outside the caves.
I mean, I guess when I went to the Ohio State Penitentiary, they also had like a cafe and gift shop in there. I mean, I thought that was kind of...
disrespectful.
It's weird. It's like so much...
I know it's like a
dark
bad stuff
yeah.
happening, but like...
So let's put a happy coffee shop and gift shop.
Yeah.
Although, I'm going to be hypocritical again. You bet your ass I did buy some magnets and some cups from said gift shop.
You would, pretty.
But, I mean, just looking back, it's kind of fucked up.
I mean, it is. It really is. And again, a little fair reminder, I may not swear that much in my podcast, but we're going to be doing a little more explicit.
I have a potty mouth of a sailor, so and I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I have to remember I can swear now, too. So this is an adult podcast, so anyways, so... Just as well, they placed mannequins in most of the chambers. Well, I think we saw that in the Ghost Adventures episode.
Oh, that's just terrifying.
Yeah, alongside other tableaus. So, things that could be considered maybe a little... on the spectrum of disrespectful. I know these were kind of horrible people, but still, I mean, it's only asking for paranormal activity.
Yeah.
This was to give the visitor an insight into the life of the members of the club. Even though it's thought to erase some of the history of the caves, the mystery still lives on to this day. And credit for that goes to altsabiscura.com. I don't know why. I mean, these people probably just kind of play the piano on the computer to figure out these names. Alongside the local legends of satanic rituals, the caves are most infamous for the story of... Yep, this is Suki. So, I don't know if you covered her.
I just touched her on her ghost. I didn't go into details about what happened to her.
Alright, it's good. So alongside the local legends of satanic rituals, the caves are most infamous for the story of a young girl named Suki, who happened to be a young maid. One night, a group of men thought it would be funny to play a prank on Suki, sending a note from an anonymous source confessing his love for her. Thinking she had a secret admirer, she sought out the spot described in the letter, only to find the group of boys pointing and laughing at her. Out of anger and heartbreak, Suki threw a small rock in their direction, which caused them to retaliate by throwing some of their own. One struck Suki in the head, killing her. Reports say they disposed of her body, while others said they just ran for it.
I have a feeling they probably ran for it.
I don't know, because I found another article saying that they dragged her body off to like one of the resting rooms, like the beds and stuff, and just kind of set her up in bed.
Yeah, I've heard. I read multiple articles where they said where like she was found in different places. So again, probably a story that's been passed down that it's changed. I mean, who knows?
It's like a bad game of telephone.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this stuff happened in like the 1700s. So I mean,
yeah,
stories change. History's written by the victor. So I mean, is there a cat?
Oh my god, that really scared me.
Okay. Yeah, see, now we're going to go on to
We're creeping
ghosts,
ourselves out.
and we're creeping ourselves out.
One of our cats is like trying to grab something underneath the door, and it like is shaking something else.
Okay.
I'm gonna go fix.
Yeah, go for it real quick. All right, just be careful not to bump. There we go. All right, so we are getting close to your story. I think I got like 3 paragraphs left. So, all right. I know. Squeeze yourself back in here.
I can't wait till we get like a legit
Studio,
podcast studio. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
We're squished on his couch in his room in the basement.
Yep, and it's not exactly
It's very cozy.
That's one way of saying it. Thank you for being nice about it. All right. Alongside the local legends of satanic rituals, the Hellfire Caves have had an estimated 2.5 million visitors since its reopening in 1951.
Wow.
Yeah. But the mysterious and scandalous nature of the caves and clubs as a whole will forever haunt historians and novices alike. This leads into your side of the story, which includes a paranormal side.
All right. Well, first we can't talk about the Hellfire Club without bringing up the supposed pagan and satanic rituals that took place. And there's even like rumors that there's human sacrifices, but I scoured the internet and I could not find one instance or story or mention. Like, it's just a short mention that there could have been, but I think it's interesting enough to bring up. But a lot of the things that happened, like the dark stuff, we're not 100% sure what took place because the club's steward and secretary, Paul Whitehead, who we will talk about a little bit later, actually burned all the records just days before his death. So that's a little suspicious to me.
It is.
I mean, if you're not doing anything dark like that or crazy, why would you need to burn the records?
Yeah, you know, that always spells suspicion.
Yeah. What we know is based on assumptions and rumors, and a majority of this cannot be proved, but it's still interesting to think and touch on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like you said, Sir Francis Dashwood's club included some of Britain's most senior statesmen and aristocrats. God, I can't talk.
You're fine.
Aristocrats. There we go, Brittany.
There you go. You got it. You'll get better as we go along. Don't worry.
They met in a series of underground caves in West Wickham, and legend is they indulged in a lot of risque behavior. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of talk of orgies. Yeah. A lot of talk of, like, bringing in young women to deflower them. It was, like, kind of like a game. It was really kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it kind of is. Like, you would think the 1700s are a little more of class, you know? Like.
Yeah. I mean, even their, like, motto, what goes on underground stays underground.
Yep.
So, yeah. Some weird things happen there.
Finally know where Brad Pitt got it.
Right? That's where they got it from. According to an article I found on a Barta Heritage site titled The Hellfire Club, the Irish Hellfire Club was alleged to have indulged in satanic rituals and to have made pacts with the devil. It is said that the members of the club met to drink scalvian, which is hot whiskey and melted butter.
Ooh.
Which, I mean, don't they have, like, butterbeer now? Like, isn't that a thing?
I think it's kind of like root beer. I don't think it's alcoholic.
Ugh. Yeah. But they drink it from a silver punch bowl, and I can, like, see them in my head passing this around in a ritualistic kind of way.
Yeah, I'm kind of picturing robes and stuff, so.
Yeah.
Which I think they actually wore. So.
Yeah, I think they did, too. They also were said to always leave one chair at the head of the table vacant for the devil. Ooh. Yep. Spooky.
I definitely wonder why King George banned them.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say in the next line. Like,
oh, shoot, I'm sorry.
No. No, I'm just saying, like, a lot of what I found, I mean, it's all rumors, and there wasn't a lot of detail to these rumors. And I think that their whole thing about this club was mocking, like, religion and Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think the church is going to retaliate at that time and be like, oh my god, these people who are mocking us are just devil worshippers, and they're probably making up all these rumors.
Absolutely, yeah. Like we said before, it was a different time. They
Yeah.
like basically were all religion. So
Yeah, who knows what actually happened.
Yeah,
I bet,
yeah.
like, majority of this stuff didn't, but it's interesting to think about.
I'm definitely sure they embellished a little bit over
Yeah.
the years.
I'm sure, like, the alcohol, and there's tons of alcohol in sex. I'm sure that was a guarantee, but
Oh yeah.
human sacrifices, I'm not sold.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, agree to disagree. We'll go over it in the end. So.
Okay, on to the ghosts. With the dark history that surrounds Hellfire, it doesn't come as a surprise that it's very haunted. And when looking at the ghosts, there are actually two main ghosts that are said to haunt the caves. The first one being Suki, who you went into detail already.
Mhm.
In the cave, Suki is seen in a white dress and running past guests. She is also seen often in the banquet hall, where she again is seen in a white dress, but this time they kind of describe it as a wedding dress.
Oh yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
that. Mhm.
So, I mean, that makes sense. If she's seen a white dress, it might just be a wedding dress. People also report hearing screams and crying coming from the banquet hall, which, I mean, could be Suki. Who knows what it could be? It could be past ritual stuff.
Either way, that's
Yeah.
terrifying.
Can you imagine? And I'm sure it's got to echo down there, and you're hearing those screams, and
yeah.
that's just, ugh.
Oh
In
my-
the dark, too.
Oh my god.
Nope.
And
I
being
would
in a-
nope right out of there.
Literally being in a place called the Hellfire Club.
And you hear screams bellowing from the deep earth. Nope.
Yep, I would nope the hell right out of there. I mean, absolutely freaking not.
Suki is said to not only haunt the caves, but she's also said to haunt the George and Dragon Inn and Pub in West Wickham Village. And I thought, I know we're kind of traveling outside the caves, but it ties into Suki. Like, the fact that she can be seen in two different places is really interesting to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like, can she there at both places at the same time, or like?
Maybe residual one place, intelligent the other place.
That
at
makes
the
sense.
source.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear this all the time from paranormal investigators on shows. I mean, you leave energy behind everywhere you go. Everything carries energy, and it's very possible if something traumatic happened at the bar, and as well as the club, she could be both
Yeah,
places.
that's very true. I mean, getting killed in the cave, I'm sure that was absolutely.
Probably the worst moment in her life.
Yeah,
you know, so
it's gonna be imprinted there.
I don't know. Yeah.
The inn isn't that far from the caves, actually, and she lived in the room there at the inn. And that's one of the places that I read that she actually was brought to after the attack. But I feel like, where would they know where she's staying, what room she'd be staying in? So I feel like she probably was actually left in the caves. But that's just my own thoughts.
Very possible. You know, although she was like a maid, right? So
Yeah, or maybe someone else found her and brought her back there.
Yeah,
It
very
wasn't
possible.
actually the killers.
Or if they're all part of the club, maybe they spent enough time together that they know each other really well. And I mean, it was a Hellfire Club. What if one person was sick enough to follow her home one day and get this thing planned out?
That's true. Yeah,
I'm
that's
just,
true.
I mean, it's possible. I'm just playing devil's advocate. You could be totally right. So we'll go over that in theories.
Yeah. But since, like, she was rumored to have passed away there, her ghost has been reported being seen there. I'm sorry if you hear one of our cats meowing in the background. You know cats, they can't have doors closed.
It has to be open. So I think that's Othello. All right.
Yeah.
Continue.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Like in the caves, she's also seen wearing a white dress. She's been seen many times in her room and gliding along the corridor outside, mainly in the early hours of the morning. She also has been seen looking through the windows of the inn waiting for her lost love. Which I loved how they added that.
It adds a spooky vibe to it.
Yes.
So.
Gotta make it. There's always like that. I feel like a lot of these hotels, it's always like a woman waiting for her lost love, and she ends up dying there. It's just.
I mean, that's kind of on par with the classic woman in white.
Exactly. That's
legend.
exactly what I kind of got out of this too. Yeah, another classic, like a woman in white. I did find a first-hand story that a guest had at the inn. I found it on a site called the Spooky Isles. So if y'all want to check it out. In 1967, an American tourist who was intrigued by the story of the ghostly barmaid decided to sleep at the George Inn in her room, which is always a great idea. Partway through the night, he awoke suddenly to icy hands that were placed on his forehead. When he turned on the lamp, the feeling went away and the room was empty. He then noticed a pinpoint of light near the door that grew in length and width. It was a strange, opaque, pearly quality that would vanish when he switched the light on, only to reappear when he turned it off again. He then gathered his courage and went over to the light, but as soon as he reached it, he felt the most intense cold. He couldn't breathe, and his limbs felt heavy. Suddenly, the illuminated form moved towards him, and he leapt back in terror onto the bed, where he then turned on the light, and the strange shape vanished.
That's creepy.
Yeah, he's more brave than I'd be. I'd be like pulling the covers over my head and praying.
Mm-hmm. Well, that reminds me of another experience I had, but I'm not going to go into it.
A second experience I found, it's very much shorter, but it's really, I thought, kind of creepy. In the early 1990s, the landlady of the George Inn and Pub entered one of the rooms and saw the apparition of a young woman with a sad lost expression on her face sitting by the fire. After a few minutes, the ghost turned to look at the landlady and then slowly faded away.
So that's still thought to be Sookie, right?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I feel like it must be Sookie.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that's very possible. I mean, I don't know. That's really interesting. Then that's at the bar. The pub.
Yeah, in the 1990s. So this is like relatively recent.
Oh.
Yeah. We're moving on to the second ghost seen in the Hellfire Caves, who is Paul Whitehead. He was a very important member of the Hellfire Club. He was a former steward and secretary. He was also a very close friend of Sir Francis Dashwood, which there's actually rumors that they were lovers, which wouldn't surprise me. It's an orgy. Everyone's...
I mean, you don't know what's going on in those things. You could be touching ass, and you...
You want to know which ass you're touching.
Yeah.
Good God.
Like you said, uncensored.
Uncensored.
All right.
Perverted comment.
All right.
He in fact loved Sir Francis so much he betrothed or bequeathed. How the hell do you say that word? Bequeathed. Bequeathed. He promised his heart to him, along with 50 euros for the purchase of a marble urn to put it in. That is, I would never love a boss that much that I promised them my heart.
Like literal heart.
And here's $50 for the urn, and here's the trouble, so you don't have to pay for that.
And we'll take care of cutting the heart out once you're gone. You know.
That's so weird. He then requested his urn stored in the mausoleum at West Wickham. When he died, his request was granted, but in 1829, an Australian soldier stole his actual heart. You can still see the urn today, as it is now housed in the caves. But that means this dude literally dug his hands into the urn and pulled it out with his bare hands and stuffed it somewhere. Like, when I first heard this, I thought he actually took the urn. That would make most sense to me.
No, he just grabbed the heart and
That's just so gross.
Where would you put it?
Exactly.
They don't make, like, pockets for hearts.
Yeah, unless it was, like...
the chest one.
Unless he, like, and doesn't, I don't know anything about anatomy, or, like, what happens after you die. Like, wouldn't it have... If it wasn't placed in some sort of, like... conservation liquid or some sort of, it would be
or vacuum sealed or something. You know, imagine the stink on that. He's walking around town and all these town folk are like, wow, did you get sprayed by a skunk dipped in cat piss?
I mean, like, I don't understand what would your need be for a heart and why. I don't know, maybe he just heard of the legend and thought he'd be a dick and just take it, because that's people.
Some people want to be infamous rather than famous, so
yeah. But, of course, coming from that, you can see where that haunting comes from. Legend holds that Whitehead's ghost haunts West Wickham caves and hills, searching for the heart. He says he sticks around to look after the family of Sir Francis, because they were lovers.
Ooh, scandalous.
Numerous visitors and staff have reported seeing a man in old-fashioned clothing wandering the passageways. When he is faced, he vanishes into thin air.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole story's just creepy.
Yeah. There's a story of a young woman visiting Hellfire who became separated from her friends and found herself alone in the deepest part of the caves, which, I mean, that's not even like the ghost part, and I'm terrified. Like, thinking about that. Not seeing or hearing any other person, she began to feel lost and frightened. She found the atmosphere within was changing and becoming cold and dim. Which, I mean, it's a cave. It's going to be dim and cold. Feeling that she must find her way to the exit, she quickly returned along a passageway which seemed to ascend towards the entrance. She had only gone a short distance when she became aware that someone was following her.
Oh, God.
Nope. Run, bitch, run. That's what I would have done.
Yeah. Don't be like those horror movies.
Turning, she saw a figure of a man in 18th century clothing standing some distance away from her, and he was just staring at her. As they faced each other, the young woman said she felt no way threatened by the man and assumed he was one of the cave's living history guides until the figure started to gradually fade away.
See, this is like every horror like movie maker's dream. I don't get why there wasn't a movie on this.
I wonder if there, I mean, who knows? It'd be a good movie if they haven't done that already.
Yeah.
There's other reports of paranormal activity that goes on in the cave. There are regular experiences of poltergeist activity in this form of stones being thrown and footsteps in the gravel. Which, I mean, it's kind of interesting that, like, the Sookie story. I wonder if that's, like, residual. Like, the gravel being thrown? I mean, because...
But doesn't... It's like physical activity like that, doesn't that make it more of an intelligent haunt? How is that defined?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Was there any physical like hauntings from Sookie at the pub, or?
I mean, that guy like said he felt cold, icy hands on his face.
Okay.
I feel like
All right.
that's as physical as you can get.
See, that's why this is so confusing for me. You know, this whole haunt.
Yeah, it'd be one thing to research to see if like poltergeist activity can be residual.
Or if a spirit can be in two places at once.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys know what residual hauntings mean, as opposed to like intelligent hauntings. But residual is kind of like a tape recorder of a past event, and it's assumed like mostly like a traumatic event. Like if you're having a traumatic event, like there's going to be an imprint on the area, and that could lead to a residual haunting where it's like a tape player. Like they're not aware that they're ghosts. They're not aware that there's living people there. They're just going about their business.
They might not even be consciously there. It might be literally just that, a tape recorder.
Yeah.
And the sad, depressing part is that a lot of these residual hauntings are basically them reliving their deaths.
Yeah.
Or
the worst thing that's ever happened to them.
Or, yeah, just plain traumatic events. Maybe that's what this is at the pub.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like if she's walking back and forth in the corridor, I mean, that sounds residual to me.
It does sound residual.
The guy's story of being touched, though, that sounds like more intelligent, so I'm not quite sure about that.
Yeah, and we don't know the entire history of the pub.
Yeah.
So it could be a different spirit altogether.
Be an interesting topic to circle back on in the future.
Yeah, like I said, we're gonna take a break for a couple episodes at least. So.
Yeah, but like in an intelligent haunting, ghosts are aware that you're there and or that they are ghosts and can interact with you.
And sometimes they can get angry.
Yeah.
And they become malevolent spirits. See, now I'm having trouble with words.
That's okay. It's late.
But yeah.
Back, I'm trying to find my place. Okay. There are also reports of chanting being heard from the inner temple, which, oh my, that's pretty...
Yeah,
I know we keep saying that's creepy, but like... Again, we're in a basement at like midnight at night, and we're kind of spooked out. So everything right now is super
never
spooky.
know.
There are also a lot of light orbs seen around the cave, mainly in the entrance of the tunnel. One theory is that they could be the spirits of children. A lot of people have taken photos of a child, and in the background there is an orb also behind them too.
I don't like that. I don't like that one.
But I don't understand where children comes into play with this, because like in the history...
There really wasn't anything.
children.
Yeah. I didn't read anything on children.
Who knows? Maybe there's some dark secrets I don't want to go into or think about that involve children that could be down there.
Yeah, that's a bad path.
Yeah. And a lot of these, like, orbs that they do come up in pictures, the really creepy and weird thing is that you don't see them in person. The only time you see them is when they're caught on film or camera.
Understandable.
Yeah. I mean, I went to, like, again, I brought up the Ohio State Penitentiary, but we actually, going back through our photos, we had this, like, blue-looking orb that had followed us around the building. And, again, we didn't see it in real time, but looking back in photos, we saw it, and that's just...
It's widely believed that a lot of spirits can't be seen by the human eye.
No.
So, I mean, it's very possible. And I don't get why some are and some aren't. Maybe it's, like, how much energy they have, or how much pent-up emotion they have, or...
I mean, it takes energy to be seen, so, I mean, if they don't have a lot of it at the time or available to them, or, like, do they know how to? I mean, I'm
That's
sure it's
another
like,
thing. It's a
yeah.
whole nother experience.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
but-
didn't mean to interrupt again.
No, you're cool, man. Other witness strange shapes floating towards them. A lot of the activity are seen but not discovered again until people get home and check their cameras. Because, of course, there's so much paranormal activity, this is going to be a place where paranormal shows are going to be going to. Some of the ones I came across were Ghost Police.
Oh,
Which
wow.
did you ever?
No.
I've never heard of that one. That must be a new one we should check out.
Uh-huh.
Most Haunted, which that is a classic.
Yeah, like a classic joke.
Yeah, it's like a British ghost show, and they're very, very dramatic.
I don't believe most
Anything,
of the stuff.
no.
Yeah.
And of course, the notorious Ghost Adventures with Zachy Bagel Bites.
Otherwise known as the American Most Haunted.
Yeah.
So
He is an interesting character, and always a show I feel needs to be taken with a grain of salt because he can be a little much.
I believe some of his stuff is real. Not all of it.
There was, I did actually watch the episode where they went to the Hellfire Caves, and there was, when they were on the tour with the tour guide, I actually heard a growl
Oh.
when they were talking about Sookie, and that really creeped me out, and I actually believe that. But the funny thing is, they thought it was like one of their stomachs, so they're like, "Is that your stomach? Is that your stomach?" And they noticed that the growl came from in between them,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
which, yeah. And of course, like, the whole tour started out with Zach joking about recreating orgies to provoke potential paranormal activity, and I wrote in my notes, big eye roll.
Yep, that really speaks to his character, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
that's basically, yeah.
No disrespect, Zach. I actually really do have a lot of respect for you. He really does love paranormal stuff.
He's a little dramatic.
Yeah.
It's a little dramatic.
I don't believe he's a medium. He thinks he is. I don't believe he gets possessed.
I feel
every
like every
episode.
episode is possessed.
Yep. I mean, the one with the Goat Man's Bridge where he choked himself? Oh my god.
That's for another day. That's definitely a case we'll have to look at.
Yeah.
And I felt bad for the poor tour guide while, like, he made that comment, because she didn't catch the joke at first, and they just kept dragging it on, and you're just sitting there cringing.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, please stop. Just please stop.
Oh god, I'm cringing just even thinking about it.
The rest of the episode, of course, is like, oh, I'm hearing bangs. Oh, I see, like, a misty figure. But one of the main, like, features of the episode was they got a past witch they had worked with. I wonder if it's, like, their witch on speed dial, named Lady Snake. And they thought it'd be such a great idea to perform a pagan ritual in the inner temple and open a portal.
They definitely, I think, take big risks sometimes.
Yeah, they do.
That's a stupid thing to do.
And poor, I think it was Aaron who got stuck, of course, doing it again, because Zach can never do these things himself. It's always his ideas, but he can't do it.
So.
Yeah, that's all I have for ghosts.
Okay, so that's everything?
Yeah.
Okay, well, alright, well, I suppose let's get into theories. Do you think, for one, is this real? Like, is all this information that we gathered credible, do you think? Possible?
Why don't you get first?
I think it's very possible. I mean, a lot of the activity that you mentioned kind of lends credence to all the history that I found, too. Like, in terms of the satanic rituals, and then people would hear chanting in the inner temple. I mean, the seeing kids part is weird.
Yeah, I don't know how that comes into play. And I only saw it in one source, so who knows?
So I don't know what that could be, but if people have actually seen this, and there are multiple reports of it, I think it could be possible. I don't know, I think that's maybe an erased part of history that we probably do not want to know.
Yeah, and above the Hellfire Caves is not only a church, there's a graveyard. So who knows?
I didn't know that part.
Yeah. So who knows if some of those ghosts actually, like, travel down there?
Yeah, and we kind of zoomed past that, but I will reiterate, this club, these caves, were built on top of an abandoned church.
I'm not sure if it was
might
active.
have-
In
it
a
might have been
graveyard,
active.
and
In
then
a
there
graveyard.
is the mausoleum there as well. So it's kind of a big little area.
And I think that's a big reason why. I think it was done on purpose, because it was built. They said it was built. So I think it was literally a club that was about mocking God and kind of enjoying the finer things in life. You
Well,
know?
that's what they said too in, like, Ghost Adventures, was that the church represented heaven and God, and then the Hellfire Caves represented hell.
So, and the Sookie thing, that gets to me. Because that's weird. If there's stuff happening besides just seeing them at both locations, it makes me kind of question everything I believe about ghosts. In the fact that, I mean, this might be two intelligent ghosts of the same person at two separate locations.
Or it could be, which I'm leaning more towards, she's a residual in the caves, maybe intelligent at the inn. Who knows?
But the rock throwing thing kind of seems on par with her story for me, and that would make it an intelligent, I believe, with
Yeah,
the physical.
that's true.
So that it just confuses me because that guy in the pub felt that cold touch, and people are getting rocks thrown at them in the caves.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to think.
But also, I mean, when you're dead, time and place isn't really a thing anymore, so...
And plus, you said it wasn't too far away from
No.
the caves. Who says there's a limit on where people can go, or like the spirits?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, we don't know.
We don't know. And then Whitehead. That one actually is pretty interesting. I think I do believe that. I don't know.
I feel like that's the classic ghost story. His heart was taken and he's searching for it.
Yeah, that's like straight up poltergeist stuff. Find some bones in your yard and all of a sudden all the weird shit's happening. You know.
Yeah.
As a whole, I gotta say I'm pretty convinced. I mean, I read the history and you did the paranormal side of it, obviously. But hearing your evidence versus my evidence, it kind of, I don't know, it fits well. It's like a puzzle piece. And I believe it. I think it all happened.
I mean, it has to be if all these ghost shows are going there. There
Yeah.
has to be something to it.
I mean, there's
I
always-
personally, I believe majority of everything. I guess the only thing I'm kind of iffy on is because of lack of like evidence for like I believe they tried to do rituals. I don't think they knew exactly what they were doing. I think they were involving the devil or Satan in what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I believe that there was human sacrifices. I mean, I was like on the 5th page of
Yeah.
Google. Who goes to the 5th page? But who knows? I could be wrong. And it
Nice.
could be part of history that's got erased by Paul Whitehead. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I see on that one I'm kind of back and forth too. The screaming in the caves. I mean, what's that about? Like,
I think that's more residual.
what residual of what? That's
Exactly.
the thing.
Yeah, true. Oh, you got me. See, who knows? No one knows. No one will ever will,
So.
probably. So
So yeah, though
Should
I mean that's pretty much it.
that's.
Are you yay or nay
Hellfire
on this?
I'm yay all the way.
Nice rhymes too.
Hey,
Uh,
I got the beat.
You got the beats.
And now we need to talk about the deets.
Oh my god. no.
Ah,
Oh, that's right.
keep
Actually, that's
going.
true. Yeah. Okay, so we got a couple of social media pages. We have a YouTube too, is right?
Yeah, so we're still working on our actual website, but we do have a Facebook and Instagram at you can find us at That Spooky Murder Show.
If you see a purple logo with a skull and a knife in it,
That is
they
us.
found the right place.
Yes, and we also do have an email. It's That Spooky Murder Show, all one word, at gmail.com. So if you have any comments, suggestions of what topics you'd like to hear, give us a shout out.
Yeah, because a lot like my podcast, we want to involve you guys as much as we can.
Yeah, want to plug yours too?
Oh yeah, and if you like this sort of thing, mine's a little bit different, where I just do it personally, so I don't really make banter with myself.
I mean,
I could, but then I looked like the true crime
I
that
think
I
it's
covered.
more like storytelling creepy.
Yeah, it is, and that's actually in the name too.
Woo!
So Tales for the Dark - Creepy Internet Stories. You can find that on Facebook as well. It's just Tales for the Dark, but that's how you'll find it on Facebook. So if you like creepy stories, creepy pastas, true crime, and cryptid stories, like us on there too. So we'll probably post a link on that, and I'll probably do the same on mine for yours.
Yeah, and
so.
we're both bi-weekly, so you'll hear from us in a couple weeks. I think we're going to do 2 stories next time.
Yep, 2 separate. Yep.
Yep.
So I think I'm paranormal next time.
Yep,
Right.
and I'm crime.
Which that's your bread and butter. So all right. Well, yeah. I think that's pretty much everything, right? Did you?
Yep.
Is it the same name on Instagram?
Yes,
So
I got that covered.
yeah, I think that's all from us. We almost hit an hour. It's about 54 minutes.
Thanks for holding on. I mean, it's going to get better. This is rough first episode, so it's kind of like testing the waters.
Yeah. Yep. So I think that's it.
All right.
You got anything else?
Nope. Thanks, guys, so
Yeah.
much for listening.
Thank you very much. We'll catch you in the next episode.
Later.
Later.